Right now you're in a transition phase, right? And I want to talk about, what you were doing, in the last few years for your clients and how that went, and then transition to like now, what's your perspective and what's your insights on how, this e-com game is pivoting, and for you as an agency owner, like what are your plans for the next year, for the next 5 years, really?
Yeah, so we started as a typical Facebook ads agency. That was kind of the mechanism that was hot at the time.
Yeah.
And we had some pretty crazy case studies. I think you saw them. We had crazy impact on the way we delivered the service, because we didn't deliver just as Facebook ads. I always position my brand, my persona when it comes to clients as, you can knock on my door. If you need help with anything personal, business, we talk. Right. So I've helped clients with their offer. I've helped clients with their CRO, didn't get paid. Right. But the case that I got paid with the case study, because all of these had the impact. Right.
Yeah.
So what happened was at some time around, I think, right after iOS 14 started to kick in, I realized that a brand that's only, I'd say, relying on one acquisition channel, one channel as a whole, is doomed to fail. And I've seen it firsthand, right? I've seen founders being stubborn with one platform, trying to force their way through and just, scale their brand by force, right? And it broke their business.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how can we position our offer to change it, right? So that we can help people in a more efficient way, right? And that's where I started looking at myself as a growth partner. Right, not as an agency. So I would pitch our service as a growth partner. We would only sign clients for 6 months, not 3 months like everyone does. It's 6 months minimum. Our retention went through the roof. We're keeping clients for 9 months on average, which is pretty good in the game of agencies, and you know how churn is. And then I started kind of implementing new vehicles of growth, or growth levers that we can pull on for our clients. So namely retention, which is a huge thing, right? A lot of people just focus on the short-term kind of money, which is acquisition.
Yeah.
But then how do you retain customers? How do you extract value, right? So that came into play. Content creation came into play also, right? And then one insight that came to me from doing a lot of research in this space was, how can we get a formula that actually propels e-commerce founders, right, to the next level if they go through a certain roadmap. And that formula is the LTV to CAC, like LTV divided by your CAC, right? And you want that ratio to be as high as it can be, right? So we started pivoting our offer to
Do you want to explain why that's important?
Because that gives you the wiggle room to do whatever the fuck you want with your brand, right? If you're extracting as much value as you can from a customer, and you're lowering your cost to acquire that customer as much as you can, then that curve is just, one is exponential, the other is linear, right? Like your acquisition costs are linearly going up, but then your LTV is going up on a more, I'd say, aggressive manner, right? So that's essentially more free cash flow for you to reinvest in resources, in ads, if you want to do that, in a better team, better customer service team, better branding. It's just R&D. It's freedom, basically, right?
Yep.
And so we started explaining that to our clients. One of our clients went from $8,000 per month to over $240,000 per month in just under a year, which is just unbelievable. They're becoming like the go-to resource in their own niche. But that's just a formula of winning, right? And that goes back to my engineering kind of background. It's like, how can I formulate success for my clients, right? How can they make it unreasonable for them not to succeed, right? With a system, not just by saying, hey, I'll deliver Facebook ads or I'll do your emails, whatever, right? It's like, it's a roadmap, and we're taking you through that roadmap, and we make you believe it, right? And you're my partner, right?
Quick question. Did you have a hard time? Because one of the things that I've personally experienced is that some people, they'll understand that they have a pain, but they won't really know how to describe the pain they have. So do you think that you had a harder time getting brands to understand the value that you're actually trying to bring to their company?
Yeah, some of the smaller ones, right? The smaller ones, because they're the most, I'd say, shaky. You'd explain that Facebook ads is not what they were, like in the past. Obviously now they're performing really well, but at some point they weren't, right? You'd have to explain, like people that aren't making a lot of money, it's because they're either starting in their journey or they're very stubborn, right? So either talk to someone who's very, very, I'd say like a beginner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, we need to pivot, and the change kind of scares them.
Yeah.
Or you talk with the stubborn type, and it's like you can't do anything with them, right? They're just forcing their way through Facebook, and that's where the breaking your business comes into play, right? So the easier part was to convince the 100K per month plus people. Right? It's like, hey, there's a change in the landscape. Let's do this. They look at the numbers, makes sense. Let's do it. Right? It's done in a week. Right? We start managing their emails, their LTV to CAC. We change their tracking, etc., etc.
Yeah.
The smaller ones, it's like, hey, why do you want to do that? And I don't understand. You told me that Facebook ads were this. I'm like, okay, but the space is changing, right? And it's like this constant, just talking to a child, almost, right?
Yeah.
I think it's similar. Must be similar with you, right?
Yeah, bro. Trust me. Yeah. It is the same for me, though. It's like, I've got to a point where, like, if I feel like you're not ready, I'll generally just refund you your money.
Yeah.
Because the cost, like, there's no amount, like, because people want you to make them successful. But it's like, yeah, that you need to pay a lot of money for someone to do that. Because you kind of, like, need someone to babysit you, right? You need someone to babysit you, to reshape the way you think, to reshape your habits, to reshape your routines. It's like, that's not really what you sign up to when you sign up in our program. It's like, you better come in when you're ready to actually, like, go get to work. Maybe someone out there is out there. There's a bunch of mindset coach. You can go find them, but I'm not one, so for me, it's like, because, man, I know it takes so much amount of work to try to, because you're not really trying to solve the understanding of LTV to CAC thing. What you're trying to solve for is them believing in themselves, one.
Yeah.
And what they think is right when they have no foundation on what is right.
100%.
So it's like going back and forth into the abyss. It's like there's nothing. There's nothing to. It's like confronting someone over their beliefs.
Exactly. Even if I convince you today, you might come back tomorrow and you're like, you didn't sleep well. You come back to me, you're like, oh, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah. Like, hey,
it's not worth it.
Yeah, you change it. Yeah. So I think for anyone who's running a business, it's like try to get rid of clients who are requiring too much energy. It's like there are people out there who can actually value your service without needing you to babysit them and train them to become a leader and a founder. Become, if you're not already a business owner, then I don't know, go learn it somewhere else.
Exactly. And it's either you babysit 3 clients, right, and you lose your mind, or you work with 30 clients, right, and you make some real impact.
Yeah, you make them some money. No time for babysitting.